Welcome to Retail's Most Wanted, the podcast that examines the latest issues related to organized retail crime and how retailers and policymakers are fighting back against today's organized crime syndicates. Coming up on today's show, we'll be joined by Marcus Skeen. He's the president and CEO of WGS Group, and he's a 20-year veteran of the security industry. We're going to talk about the evolving role of private security as a front line against organized retail crime. That conversation's coming up right after this word from our sponsor. Retail's Most Wanted is brought to you in partnership with LVT, securing physical environments through intelligent automation. Learn more at lvt.com. That's lvt.com. Marcus Skeen has led teams across Asia, Australia, and the U.S., specializing in everything from close protection to large-scale risk operations. His leadership focuses on protecting assets, safeguarding individuals, and addressing complex threats with precision and professionalism. Marcus, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the threat level. How has organized retail crime evolved recently, and what patterns are you seeing across regions?
So I think recently the threat level has actually dropped. There is decidedly an increase in the penalties now. I think some of the states actually realized that the penalties of just catching and releasing was too lenient. So I think lately the threat level has dropped, but there still is a significant threat in regards to the retail theft.
So that's really interesting and good news to see that it's heading in the right direction. What role is private security playing today that it wasn't playing 5 or 10 years ago in retail loss prevention?
I believe that most private security companies are actually contributing to the increase in theft. What I say about that is that the big companies, especially since COVID, have evolved to not wanting to see lawsuits. And we've gone away from security companies being that physical deterrent that actually is the front line of actually stopping the retail security. My company is getting back to the point where we are going to be physical deterrent, and we have the insurance levels that can be covered to cover the company so that they can feel comfortable in helping the retail actually have a front line, which isn't law enforcement.
Gotcha. So you said they were going away from the physical deterrent. What were they doing instead?
So look, I believe that most of the big companies are basically they're just manpower. They're not security companies anymore. Some of the guards aren't that professional. They're doing things where they're doing the right things in regards to recording incidents and then passing on information, but they're not doing anything to actually deter the retail theft from happening in the first place. What we're doing, just for the simple thing is, we put body cameras on our guards, similar to what the police have. Ours can be physically monitored, as in live. Our 24-hour control can log into them. Now, a guard coming up onto a bunch of retail incidents with a phone in his hand looks unprofessional. With a body camera, you don't know that he's taking the camera, but you're getting the same footage. It just looks more professional. So then that also adds on to becoming then also a physical deterrent, as opposed to looking like you've got a camera in your hand and all you're doing is taking pictures.
Also frees up his hands if you've got a hands-free situation where he's not holding a phone. So we often hear about better collaboration between private security and law enforcement. What does that actually look like in practice when it's working?
So we're going back to the model of private security is, technically the front line. That usually a security guard is the one that comes to the incident first. The company should be in contact with law enforcement, so they have a point of contact, and then they know that, like, when there's an issue, they know who to call. Sometimes it's quicker to call the head of the task force as opposed to 911, and it's very important that there's regular meetings between law enforcement and security. In a lot of industries, I believe that security has to get away or get back to doing security, and the law enforcement has to get away from doing the security jobs. the issue with the funding of the police and the police struggling with their numbers, they need to be doing the policing. So we need to get back to where security is a physical deterrent and that the police are doing the policing. And you're seeing it all across a lot of cities across the US where they're actually, some of them are actually, the smaller ones are actually doing that, but the bigger ones are still relying heavily on a police presence, which is taking them away from actually doing the policing.
You need to have the police sort of be a part of the process at the right time, but have security in place at
Correct.
the right time so that you've got the right balance there. That makes sense.
It's not ideal for a city situation if you have police standing guard at a retail store. That's a waste of resources.
Yeah, better use of their time to be elsewhere and to be brought in when they need it, and security takes care of it up to them. That makes sense. The WGS group blends law enforcement, military, and EMS backgrounds. How does that mix give your team an edge when dealing with complex retail threats?
So by having the experience, and you mix, so look, let's be honest, not all former police officers are great and not all non-police officers are bad. So by having the mix, the experience from the police and the EMS gives the new generation of security officers that experience to grow on. So we like to blend and then do constant training to ensure that when they're out in the field, they know how they should respond and when they should respond.
All right, so for retailers investing in private security, that can be a tough sell until there's like a major incident. So what's the strategic case for investing before the crisis hits?
So for me, it's like they need to plan out. Like they need to understand that having security not only protects the customers and their staff, but it also reduces their shrinkage. So what you have, if you have a physical deterrent, that actually the staff and the customers, but more so the staff, feel like they're protected. We had one retail client complaining that they were struggling to service their clients because the staff wouldn't show up because they felt unsafe. And we fixed it by saying that we can put in a security that's going to make them feel safe. So then if they feel safe, they're going to show up to work. You're serving more customers, that obviously increases your revenue. Second of that is when you have physical deterrent, they then reduce the shrinkage, which then also improves the bottom line. So it's a twofold where it's like you're investing, but if you do it properly, then it actually increases revenue and then also increases the bottom line because they're not losing as many items as what they were with a substandard company or with no security at all.
Yeah, so there's some element then that sounds like that you can measure with, like when you talk about shrinkage, right? That's a number that they can say, hey, we're saving this much by having security. And then there's sort of the stuff that you can't measure necessarily with dollars and cents, saying, hey, our customers have to feel secure and safe when they're here, shopping with us.
Correct. And we put supervisors on the road, so if there's an incident, they'll respond. So it's not only the one guard in the store that they're relying on. We have a team that will respond to help the guards prior to also the law enforcement getting there. But to add on to that, then instead of coming back, so when you have a security that's providing a physical deterrent, then the next day when these criminals come back, they'll look at that shop and go, well, actually, we went there yesterday, and that guard was on point. He was communicating with us. And maybe he's going to arrest us if we go there again. So how about we go and do this shop down the road that has a substandard security company, and we know that we're going to walk in, they're not going to do anything to us, and we can just walk out. And so it's like an add-on that not only does it initially protect and make their customers and their staff feel protected, and then reduce their shrinkage, but it's an ongoing thing because they're not going to come back because there's easier targets out.
Gotcha. Understand that. So what would you say are the most underused or misunderstood tools that retailers could be tapping into through private security partners?
I think that the most retailers are scared of the lawsuit factor. Are these security actually is trained as law enforcement? Where at the end of the day they're not. But when as you said, the previous question is when you're combining them with experienced law enforcement and experienced EMS and experienced military, and you get the uneducated, newer type security into the market, partnering them up, allows for them to feel more reliant that they have a qualified security company protecting them. So it really does come back to the company getting in with the management and saying, look, this is what we can do. We're not afraid of doing this, and it's going to improve your bottom line by doing this, this, and this. And I think a lot of contracts these days are literally like, oh, this is the cheapest, sign the contract and away with it. But and even if that's the case, you should be having communication and trying to provide a better quality security to eliminate the ongoing retail thefts.
So looking ahead then, what innovations or shifts in approach do you believe will define the next phase of the combating of organized retail crime, or ORC prevention and response?
So it's a number of things. The companies that get these contracts need to invest. They need to provide ongoing training. They need to have a better looking security officer. They need to rely on spending money on having a response team that responds to incidents, and then not be scared that if you need to get involved, you're going to have to get involved. The job is, as a security officer, is to be a second line of defense per se from law enforcement, which is unfortunate that the majority of the time the security is the first line person there. So if there's something happening and they need to protect somebody, they have to get involved, and you can't be scared of the end results of the lawsuits and everything, because that's the whole point of having insurance. So then you get back to then having a physical deterrent, which is what you're supposed to be employed for in the beginning, and then that then increases where the retail thefts go down because they don't want to be challenged by a company that's going to actually enforce what they're actually being paid to do.
If people want to know more about the WGS Group, where can they find you online or find more of some of your expertise where you've shared that previously?
Yeah, our web address is www.wgsgroup.net, or they can go online there, and then my contact details are there, and I'm very happy to speak to anyone about their security needs.
Marcus Skeen, thank you for your work fighting back against organized retail crime, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's it for this episode of Retail's Most Wanted. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, LVT. Don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button so you can catch each new episode. We drop a new one every 2 weeks. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And as always, keep up the good fight.